I never believed in fate, only in consequences. Bad choices lead to bad days, and I'd had enough of both. That's why I took the job no one else wanted. Field medic for the Outer Frontier salvage crews. Remote planets, dead colonies, forgotten wars. Places where even God stopped looking. But nothing I'd seen in my years out here prepared me for Alaris 9. The sky was a bruised violet over endless plains of black ruin. Twisted metal bones of a fallen city stuck out of the earth like the ribs of a corpse. Wind cut through the open structures, carrying dust and the faint echo of something that didn't belong. A scream. Not mechanical. Not animal. Something in between. I should have ignored it. I should have pretended I didn't hear, finished my salvage scan, and gone home with a boring paycheck. But there are two kinds of people in the galaxy, those who run toward suffering, and those who step over it. I was cursed to be the first kind. The scream came again, raw and strangled. I followed it into the underground levels of a collapsed tower, my flashlight slicing through darkness. The smell hit first, blood mixed with ion burns. Something had been fighting down here. Then I saw it. A shape lay against a far wall, chained in place. Massive, breath ragged, covered in armored scales and fur in a way that didn't make natural sense. Everyone had heard rumors of bioforged beasts, but they were myths, ghost weapons from lost empires. This one was real. It snarled when my light found it. Its eyes glowed an eerie silver, wild and furious. Its claws scraped against the ground as it tried to stand, but its body collapsed under its own weight. Blood soaked the stone. Whatever it had fought, it nearly lost. And then, something happened that froze my blood. The beast looked at me, gaze sharp and intelligent, and spoke. Not a growl, not an alien dialect, but words. Human words. Help me. I stepped back in shock. My hands tightened around my med bag. Creatures like this didn't talk. They didn't plead. They destroyed. I should have run. Instead, I took a breath and whispered back, "Who did this to you?" The creature stared at me in silence, then answered in a broken voice I will never forget. "My own people." And in that moment, I knew I was already in too deep. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The only sound in the ruined chamber was the broken rhythm of her breathing and the faint hum of whatever technology pulsed beneath her skin. Up close, she wasn't just wounded, she was dying. Whoever chained her here wanted her to suffer, not just die. That told me something dangerous. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. I stepped closer, slow enough not to trigger another defensive reaction. The chains biting into her limbs were made of reinforced alloy, military restraint tech. Someone high up paid to build this prison, and someone higher ordered it. "I'm going to look at your injuries," I said quietly. Her muscles tightened. "No, if you touch me. You'll bleed out in less than an hour if I don't." I cut in. Her eyes locked onto mine, searching for deception. Whatever she saw convinced her to stop resisting, not trust exactly, but surrender to necessity. She went still. I knelt beside her and opened my med case. My pulse hammered beneath my ribs, but my hand stayed steady, old habit from battlefields that no longer existed on any map. I scanned her vitals. The numbers made no sense. 2 heart chambers. Accelerated healing metabolism, but it was being suppressed by something in her bloodstream. Poisoned, I muttered. Synthetic inhibitor. She shuddered. Protocol 47X. Protocol. The word sent a chill down my spine. Protocols weren't used by rebels or mercenaries. Protocols belonged to empires. "What's your name?" I asked while patching arterial tears with biofoam. She hesitated, as though the question truly mattered. Finally, very softly, she answered, "Velin." The name wasn't human. It wasn't simple. It carried weight. I sealed another wound, and she flinched but didn't cry out. "Velin," I repeated, "I need to get you out of here." Her head jerked toward me. Shock flashed across her face, then disbelief. "You would help me." The question hit harder than I expected. There was something tragically honest in her voice, like she had forgotten what kindness sounded like. "There are rules," I said. "A medic doesn't walk away from a life he can still save." Her eyes closed as if she didn't know whether to laugh or break. "Then you don't understand the cost of saving me." Maybe not, I said, adjusting the last seal. But I'm doing it anyway. A distant metallic echo cut through the ruins. Footsteps. Armored. Organized. Coming closer. Veland's eyes snapped open in terror. They found me. And suddenly, I understood why she called herself a monster. Not because she truly was, but because whoever hunted her would treat anyone near her as prey. The footsteps grew louder, steady, disciplined, closing in from the corridor beyond the rubble. Whoever was coming didn't bother to hide their approach. Confidence like that only came from lethal training or overwhelming force. "Can you move?" I asked Veland. She tried to stand but collapsed, chains clanking. Her breath hitched with pain. Not far, not fast. I looked at her restraints. These weren't simple shackles. They were energy-bound with biometric encryption. No external locks. No weak points. Designed to hold something stronger than human. "Who are they?" I whispered. Her expression darkened. "Hunters. Military. Worse," she said bitterly. "Loyal." That single word told me everything. Loyalty without limits breeds monsters. The first shadow appeared in the hallway. I grabbed my med case and shoved it aside, then picked up a shard of broken steel. Primitive, but better than nothing. "No," Veland rasped. "Run." "Not happening." "Why?" she demanded. "You owe me nothing." I didn't have an answer she'd understand, so I chose the only one that mattered. "Because you asked for help." Her eyes softened, just for a heartbeat. Then the world exploded into motion. The first hunter entered, armor black as void, visor glowing with cold blue light. He wasn't here to capture. He was here to erase. He raised an energy rifle straight at Veland's head. I threw the steel shard. The impact knocked his aim off, and the blast hit the wall instead. Stone vaporized in a flash. I lunged, slamming into him with everything I had. He stumbled back, not expecting resistance. I grabbed his rifle, redirected, and fired. He dropped without a sound. The hallway lit up with return fire. The rest of them were coming. I dubbed behind cover as energy bolts ripped the room apart. Veland pressed against the wall, chains dragging as she tried to shield herself. Dust and sparks rained from above. "We're trapped," I said. "Not yet," she breathed. She extended her hand toward the fallen hunter. For a moment, I thought she was reaching for the rifle, but then light surged from her palm, tendrils of energy stretching like liquid silver. The chains binding her began to melt. "You could have escaped," I said, stunned. "Not without strength," she replied. "Your medicine bought me time." "I didn't give you medicine," I said. Her gaze met mine. "No, you gave me hope." The chain shattered. She rose, not as prey, but as something terrifyingly powerful. And as she turned toward the incoming hunters, silver energy swirling around her like a storm, I finally understood. I hadn't saved her. I had woken her. She moved like lightning, silent, precise, unstoppable. The hunters opened fire the moment they saw her break free, but Veland didn't run or dodge. She advanced. Silver energy pulsed from her hands, forming shifting arcs around her body that dissolved incoming fire like mist. Every step she took made the ruins tremble. These men weren't amateurs. They were shock troopers, elite, disciplined, built to dismantle threats quickly. But she tore through their formation as if they were children. One strike sent a soldier flying across the chamber. Another hit the ground with a twisted scream as energy coiled around his armor like living chains. When the last hunter fell, silence returned, heavy and raw. Veland stood amidst the wreckage of broken stone and fallen metal, chest heaving, eyes now burning with a predatory glow. The air around her shimmered, alive with a lingering trace of her power. Slowly, cautiously, I stepped closer. "That wasn't self-defense," I said quietly. "That was war." She didn't deny it, didn't pretend she hadn't enjoyed it a little. She just turned away, shoulders tense as if bracing for judgment. "I warned you," she said. "Saving me would make you a target." "Yeah, I got that part," I said. "What I don't get is, why are your own people hunting you?" Her jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then she sank to one knee beside a fallen trooper and pulled a triangular badge from his armor. A royal insignia gleamed across it, 3 intersecting stars wrapped in a crown of flame. "I am not a criminal," she said bitterly. "I am a secret." I stared at the symbol. I had seen it once before, burned into a ship hull drifting near the neutral borders. A name echoed in my memory. The Stellar Dominion. Her silence confirmed it. "They are royalty," I said slowly. "You're hunters." "Not royalty," she corrected. "Enforcers. The Dominion has no kings or queens. Only rule and one ruler." "And you?" She lifted her hand. The insignia pulsed with her touch, responding to her. "I am the heir to the Dominion throne," she said. "Or I was, before I was sentenced to die." I froze. She wasn't just important. She was a walking political detonation. "What was your crime?" I asked. Her eyes lifted to mine. I dared to say our empire was built on lies. The ruins seemed to grow colder around us after her confession. The weight of her words lingered like smoke, dangerous, undeniable, impossible to ignore. An heir to an empire, hunted by her own people, condemned for exposing a lie. "What did you discover?" I asked. Velan didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked toward a broken pillar and pressed a palm against it. For a moment, I thought she was catching her breath, but then I noticed a faint tremor in her hand. She wasn't tired. She was afraid. "The Dominion teaches that we are chosen," she said slowly, "that we rose alone through science, unity, and strength, that we conquered the void itself without help, that we are destined to rule lesser worlds." "Sounds like standard imperial propaganda," I said. Her voice dropped. "It's a lie." She turned toward me, her eyes reflecting a truth she wished she could unlearn. We were not the first civilization in the stars. There were others before us, far older, far wiser. We did not rise by strength. We rose by stealing their legacy. "You're talking about ancient tech." I guessed. She shook her head. "I'm talking about genetic theft. We are not alone in the galaxy, Ellis. We never were. We were made." The words settled like thunder. "Made? By who?" "I found evidence of another species, one erased from our records. My family, my bloodline, they ordered their extinction. They feared what would happen if the Dominion learned the truth. So they silenced anyone who got close," I said. Her gaze dropped, a flicker of pain crossing her features. "Including me." That explained the chains, the poison, the hunted desperation. But it still didn't explain her transformation, why she looked part human, part something else. "How did they turn you into this?" There was a long pause. I expected anger, maybe shame. But what I saw instead was grief. "They wanted to destroy me," she whispered. "But a clean execution would turn me into a martyr. So they chose something worse, something they believed no one would ever follow." Her voice broke, just enough for me to hear the scar beneath it. "They twisted me into their own weapon. A beast. A warning." My breath caught. "A fate worse than death." "Yes," she said, "because death ends suffering. This was meant to erase who I am." I stepped closer, carefully. "Did it?" Her silver eyes found mine, fragile but burning. "No," she said, "because you reminded me. I haven't lost everything." "Hope?" I asked. "No," she said quietly. "Choice." And for the first time, I believed her fight wasn't about survival anymore. It was about taking back her soul,